Welcome to Release Your Potential Now with Jane, your weekly dose of energy, wisdom, and healing, where we explore how energy shapes your life and how you can shift it to thrive in every area physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Each week, we'll dive into practical tools, real-world examples, and quantum energy perspectives to help you stay positive, navigate challenges, and reclaim your personal power. Whether you're dealing with stress, seeking balance, or curious about the energetic world around you, this is your space for insight, growth, and transformation.
Well, welcome back to Release Your Potential Now. I'm Jane Phillips. I'm a certified medical intuitive and psychic medium, and I'm here in beautiful Santa Fe, New Mexico. So last week, we discussed energetic independence and releasing ties that limit us. And today, we'll explore how clearly defining and intentionally focusing on your true desires can create freedom and independence in your life. So the whole theme for the month of July is about different ways to create freedom and independence. So let's get started with that. So the first part I want to cover is the idea this time, this podcast, is the power of intention and clarity. So let's talk about the real power behind this. Today's episode is clarity. And clarity isn't just about making a decision. It's about tuning in. It's about clearing the noise and claiming what you really desire at a deeper level. And we often don't spend much time thinking about that. We're always kind of in the moment. So when you clear out what you want, when you're clear on what you want without apologizing, minimizing, or second guessing, you unlock an incredible kind of power. And why is that? Because clarity channels your energy. Instead of being scattered across a dozen worries or shoulds, your focus becomes a beam of light that points you toward what actually matters. Most of us don't slow down long enough to ask ourselves, what do I really want today, or this week, or this lifetime, this year? Without clarity, we often get stuck in patterns of reacting instead of responding, pleasing others while ignoring our own needs, or letting fears or past conditioning run the show. So when you get clear about what you want, you begin to claim back your power. Clarity is an act of independence. It cuts through confusion, reduces emotional overwhelm, and pushes back against the noise of other people's opinions or the pressure to do something from others that you want to do. And they say, let's be realistic. And our choices aren't always appearing to be realistic to others, but they make sense to us. So here's a universal truth. Your energy follows your focus. When you're vague about what you want, unclear about where you want to head, then any path will get you there. However, when you're specific about the outcome you want, you'll be led and guided and shown ways to align with your desire. The universe or God then aligns with your subconscious to create that thing you're focused on. It may not be immediate, but you'll be making steps in the right direction. And that is to say, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And you can't be on the journey if you don't get started. Clarity, as Rumi says, comes along the path. The first step is to being clear about what you truly want. And clarity then leads to intention, and focused intent creates momentum. So if you're feeling stuck or foggy or frustrated, today is about clearing that fog for you. Let's get specific about what you truly want. So the first step, and I learned this years ago, probably 40 years ago, and that will date me, but it's creating your want list. So let's get started by creating a written want list. This is not a to-do list or a list of obligations. This is a soul-centered, no limits, heart-led inventory of the things you want to experience in your life. And it might not be really deep at the moment. It might just be things that you were really hoping to have in your life or experience. So it's not the final list. It's a place to start. And you'll refine the list, adding or subtracting things as you go along. So when you get yourself honest about your wants, you'll give yourself permission to dream bigger. And dreaming bigger creates energetic expansion, even if you're not sure of the how this could possibly happen. You don't need to know the how yet. With the support of God and the universe, the path will be revealed as you focus on what you want. And I've used this countless times in my life and had things materialize that I never expected. And sometimes it's last minute, so you're a little bit nervous about that, but it always works. So as possibilities start to show up, your whole field gets brighter, you get more hopeful, your body responds, and the next steps are revealed to you. So here's how we'll begin. So I want you to grab a notebook or a journal or even a note on your phone. Now, I'm personally fond of handwriting my wants, goals, and dreams, as it seems to somehow make them more concrete. Plus, it's harder to delete them when handwritten, as it's much easier to delete them from our phones. We often second guess our desires and perhaps label them as unattainable or silly or stupid. Handwritten makes them more concrete. It actually embodies them in your physical body. Even if we later determine what we've written is not what we ultimately want to choose, it's a place to start. So don't limit yourself. So if you're listening to this podcast as a replay, you can pause it here and start taking notes. So I'm going to give you some categories to think about for your wants. The first one is a category I called emotional health. So how do you want to feel? For example, resilient, connected, happy. What else? Do you want to feel safe to express your emotions or experience more love in your life? How about more connections? So what does emotional health look for you, and what would you like to have more of in that category? The second category is physical health. Would you like to feel more energized in the morning? Perhaps have less pain in your body? Maybe you want to heal from something or simply feel strong, vibrant, full of vitality. You can have other physical wants and needs. You may be somebody who wants to climb a mountain or run a marathon. That's not me, but I like walking, so I'm choosing and wanting to walk more. Then there's a category, number 3, of mental health. So how do you mentally want to feel? Do you want to feel good discernment, able to make decisions, sharp and focused, remembering things? How do you want your mental health to be? So write that down. The next category is financial health. How do you define financial freedom for you? It's different for everyone. Does this look like being debt-free, for example, or having the ability to travel, to live generously, to have a substantial amount in savings to rely on in case of emergencies, or just to breathe easier, knowing that your needs are met? What does financial wellness look like for you? It's unique for you. Now, there's another category I decided to put in here, which was spiritual wellness. For example, do you want to be part of a community that supports your spiritual beliefs? What else do you want in this area? A wellness practice, a meditation practice, starting to use affirmations. What supports your spiritual wellness? And lastly, is to list any other wants that don't seem to fit in the above 5 categories. Think about your housing wants, your travel wants, transportation, new or newer or more reliable transportation. What else is important and supportive for you? Just throw it out on paper. The more you get down, the better. And now write, after you've written down everything you want in these areas, as you're doing it, don't censor yourself. You'll need more time than we have on this podcast to do this, but you can at least start or pause the podcast and maybe spend a half an hour on this project or longer. And if you're listening as a replay, as I said before, we can pause the recording to start creating your list. And don't censor yourself. This is a big thing. People try and think ahead of time that they can't have something, so they censor it. Don't do that. Don't overthink it. Just go for it. Let it pour out, stream of consciousness style. Want to write a book? Put it down. Want to open a business or retire early or get out of debt? Add it. Nothing is too big or too small. This is about independence and freedom this month. This process is about freeing your inner vision. Even just acknowledging your desires is healing. Most people spend more time avoiding what they don't want than declaring what they do. So today, your list is your declaration. These are the things I want to move forward energetically and practically. So now we're moving on to action. And the first part is action 2, but this is a little bit deeper into that. So now that you've made your want list, and hopefully it's nice and long, we're going to bring clarity into action. So the first step is to look through your list and choose 5 to 10 wants that really speak to you, speak to your heart right now. They don't have to just be the practical ones, although they certainly can be. These are your core desires for now, the ones that light you up and feel the most urgent. They may be tied to your health, to relationships, career, creativity, peace, financial security. Go with what feels right for this moment in your life. And now all the things you've written as I want, and maybe you didn't write I want first before each of them, but this is your want list. I want you to rewrite each of those 5 to 10 wants as a choice. This means instead of writing, I want better health, you write, for example, I choose. And what do you choose? Vibrant health, perhaps, or choose better health. I'm always in favor of upping the ante, so that's why I chose vibrant. So here's why this matters. Wanting is a beautiful expression of desire, but choosing is a declaration of readiness. When you say, I choose, you're not just dreaming, you're signaling that you're willing to take steps and align your actions, your energy, and be responsive to the guidance to move toward the outcome. You're telling your subconscious and God and the universe, I'm in, I'll do my part. And that's a big piece that I always have to explain to people that I work with and remind myself, is that God and the universe does help you achieve your goals, but it's a two-part, two of us involved, you personally and the universe. And you have to show some intention and your willingness to do some steps, to follow some guidance that pops into your head and take action on it. So go ahead and change those statements. For example, I want to feel peaceful becomes I choose peace of mind. I want more income becomes I choose financial abundance. And be clear about more income, what that means, because if you find a penny on the sidewalk, that's more income. It might not be what you were expecting, but the universe took you literally and you didn't give them a parameter. So want more income, choose financial abundance, and write down what that means. Be really specific of what would really help you. And $1 million when you're only making $10,000 a month or $2,000 a month is like too big a stretch for you. So stay realistic, but push yourself. So I want to heal, for example, becomes I choose vibrant health. I want to feel loved becomes I choose to experience love and connection and be more clear than this is. So what would that look like? And once you've done with your updated 5 to 10 choices, I ask that you add the following fundamental choices. And this is what I learned in that class I took 40 years ago. So at the end of our affirmations or our choices, we had to write down as additional things we read every day is I choose mental health. The second one, I choose emotional health. I choose physical health is the third one. I choose spiritual health. And the last one, I choose to be free. I choose freedom. Read your choices daily, including the fundamental ones, and make refinements as you think of more clarity around them and add that in so that your goals are more clear to the universe. Because if you want more money, you find a quarter the next time, that still might not be what you want. And if you want $1 million, but you haven't hired a financial planner and have a bank account set up to handle $1 million, you're not showing good stewardship and you might not get it. So the things you want, you have to be prepared to receive. And the money one is a big one I find with people. So you're going to read these choices daily and make your refinements. And you don't need to know how everything's going to come together. That's the big piece, is if you hold the outcome you want, let go of how it's going to happen. Because sometimes if you expect it one way and it comes another, you don't notice. So choosing is what sets the energy in motion. And then from there, life begins to align in surprising and often beautiful ways. And when you begin to live by choice instead of fear and start to trust in the future, you begin living from empowerment instead of avoidance. You become the creator of your experience, not just the reactor. And that's real freedom and independence. So a little commercial from me to you, if you need some help with this, if you find yourself struggling to clearly define your desires or remove barriers keeping you from achieving what you want, my quantum energy healing sessions can help. These sessions clear energetic blocks, help clarify your intentions, and support your path toward freedom and abundance. You can visit my website at janecphillips.com to learn more about me and schedule a session or a 20-minute consult to see if we'd be a good match to work together. So there's some daily practices to maintain your focus. To reinforce your want list, implement these daily practices. These are ideas and suggestions. If you come up with something better, go for that, okay? But visualizing has been around for a very long time and is quite helpful. So a lot of times we just can't imagine something happening. So it's time to visualize that. So imagine vividly that you already have these desires one at a time. And you may not be able to visualize yet, but that's okay. But the ones you can, see it. If it's a new vehicle and you know what you want it to look like and what it's going to cost and all of that, see that in your mind. Spend a few minutes just not blocking that, but just accepting that that's coming your way. Another thing that I do for clarity is to journal and write down daily affirmations or reflections on how you're doing. A big important piece is when we have a goal and it takes a while to get there, we keep focusing on the goal and how far away we are. Instead, focus on the steps you've made toward it. So pay attention to the progress you've made so far. You may have a long way to go yet, but don't discount the progress. And affirmations, if affirmations work for you and you've cleared enough space in you, Regularly affirming that you are deserving and capable of receiving these desires, these choices, is helpful. So practicing consistently brings greater independence and freedom. So that's the end of my thoughts for today. And I'd like to thank you for joining me on your journey toward intentional clarity and freedom. And next week, July 15th, we'll explore how to clear emotional baggage so you can fully embrace the present. Until then, stay clear, focused, and free. And take good care, everyone. I'm Jane Phillips. Please join me next week.
You've been listening to Release Your Potential Now with Jane, your weekly dose of energy wisdom and healing. Tune in on Transformation Talk Radio to unlock the power of energy healing and transform your life one insight at a time. Share this episode with a friend who's feeling stuck and might benefit from a little extra support on their journey. Together, we can create a ripple effect of healing and positivity, empowering individuals to live healthier, more joyful lives. Are you ready to gain control of your life and health? Then visit janecphillips.com to book a session, join a workshop, or explore how energy wisdom can help you heal and thrive.